This is Carrie and Summer with the Say My Name podcast that gives a voice to women's stories. It's my story, it's your story, it's our stories of pain and healing.
Betrayal doesn't begin to describe the knife that I pull out of my side. So I'ma put the past behind me, 'cause I got strength inside me, and a strength that I wanna share with you.
We would like to welcome Gina Hastis, the founder of the Too Much Woman and the Spiritual G-Spot podcast. Gina dreams of a world filled with people living on purpose, shining in their full glory, and where busting a random dance move in public becomes socially acceptable. She's a recovering journalist. She's a Facebook blogger, a facilitator, a women's empowerment advocate. She is writing a brand new book. We're so excited to have her. In Gina's words, darling, it's time to finally release yourself from this space of frustration, regret, and worry, and begin to live the life you were meant to live. She's worked with countless brilliant and fabulous people, just like you, who have found themselves stuck in lives void of happiness, meaning, and passion. Life is precious. Happiness is your birthright. It's your time, says Gina. Gina has invited the Say My Name Project to team up with her and launch her world tour, beginning with a VIP event where we invite women to lock arms with Gina and our sisters while sipping cocktails and having intimate conversation with her. The Say My Name Project and All That Uncensored. We begin with her live speech, which has reached over 11 million viewers and has changed the lives of as many women. Enjoy Gina's story.
What I'm about to say to you might come as a surprise, but the hottest part about me is the thunder of my thighs. That oh so fleshy part of me that forever I despised. Well, it's taught me much about my truth and teased apart the lies. You see, I'm the too much woman, and I am dangerous, can't you see? My truth, my words, my hips, my curves, 2 handfuls, maybe 3. Too loud, too big, too bold, too wild, too sexy. Yeah, that's me. And I won't sit down, shut up, or dim, turn it off, hide away. I won't be taken down a few notches. I won't be shamed, silenced, or put into the corner, baby. Let's rewind that tape a bit, shall we? I was born a too much little girl in a big fat Greek family. And I was fed compliments along with second helpings of everything, because food and words are how we love in my family. They called me beauty queen and blue-eyed princess. And those words, they tasted as good as mama's cooking. And I learned early on that my body was a form of currency. That with the bat of an eye and a sweet smile and the tilt of my head, I could buy me more love and attention. And that worked for a while. Until it didn't. Until the beauty of my body started to entice customers that I did not want in my store. And so I started to backpedal, to become small and afraid, and to dim my too muchness. Well, I trained as a dancer and slowly came back to loving my body again, to feeling strong in my skin and confident in my stride. And on a crisp fall day in grade 9, I was surrounded by 20 older girls who pinned my arms behind my back, kicking, punching, spitting, scratching, punishing me for my too muchness and my love of my body. And as the blood dripped from my nose, so did the light in my spirit. And once again, realizing that I wasn't safe in this body, I dimmed it down. For the next 15 years, I teetered in my too much body. On the one hand, growing in my womanhood and wanting to be seen and loved and desired. And on the other hand, so afraid that my beautiful body would betray me, inviting danger once again. Well, fast forward, I'm a grown woman now, smart, professional, delivering a keynote to a sea of over 300 executive men in suits, deciding this would be my defining moment. Once and for all, I was going to be seen, not for my body, but for my art, for my craft, for what I brought to the table. So I manned up. Severe pantsuit, button to the top, breasts hidden, hair slicked back into a severe bun. I even bought me some fake glasses. I dimmed down all the juiciness of my too much body, and yeah, I knocked that baby right out of the park, and I flew off the stage to a standing ovation, thinking I had finally won the battle by dimming this body down. And there I was, strolling along in my self-celebration, when I was approached from a man from the audience who asked if he could walk me to my car. And out in the parking lot, he grabbed my arm. His nails were like talons, digging into my skin. And he pulled me close, very close, too close. So close that I could smell the stale coffee and misogyny on his breath as he hissed, "I have a fetish for librarian types." Say what? All I remember is driving fast. Driving on the highway and watching my whole life fly past in front of me and ricochet off the windowsill. The shaming, the hiding, the dumbing down, the shunning. Letting my hair blow wild and the tears flow free, and deciding I would no longer deny the love of my body. From now on, I would dare to be seen in my all that juicy over-the-topness. You know, people carelessly say, love your body, but what they don't say is, baby, it's a dangerous game. People are gonna shun you, objectify you. They're gonna ignore you. They're gonna be afraid of you. And I say, yes, baby, all that, yes, but guess what? Do it anyway. You know, the church says this body is a sin. Science says this body is a machine. Business says this body is a product, but this body says I'm a freaking fiesta. So to all the too much women in the audience, I want you to stand up. Stand up and be seen in your glory. We are not a piece of human. We are not flesh and ass and temptation. We are feminine energy with masculine force. We are sexy brilliance, and we are hot determination. We are bigger than our breasts and more powerful than our thighs. And our curve is mightier than any sword, and our wit stronger than any insult. We are not here to radiate, to taunt you, to provoke you, to threaten you. We shine not for your adoration. We shine because, baby, you just can't dim the sun.
Welcome, Gina Hastis. We're so honored to know you. We're so honored to have connected with you. We think that the universe has placed you on our path and vice versa for a beautiful reason. And we're so excited to see the magic that is going to come from the unions of all of our souls together. And we know it's just going to be incredible. We're going to touch so many women's lives, I believe. What I'd like to know and what we'd like to know is your story, because as I see your posts, as we understand more of who you are, it's clear that you have a story to tell. And we'd like you to open up about that and share your story so that we can help other women move through their stories and come to a place of healing.
How beautiful. Thank you, guys. Mm-hmm. Thank you both for having me. I feel so warm and fuzzy.
Good, you should. We do too.
Yeah, I do. It's such a beautiful energy that you both have. And certainly I work very intuitively. And one of the reasons I know that we connected out of the thousands and thousands was because I just feel that you're very sincere on your path. And so I do appreciate the work that you're doing and for having me here. That's such a big question. What's your story? Gosh, Don't we have so many levels and so many layers and so many chapters of our story? And I always feel like the question is, tell us what you do. Right. Tell us, where you come from. But the most important thing about me is that I'm a seeker. And for my whole life, I described myself as a seeker. Like I was curious. I was very intentional. And then after a while, that started to feel heavy. And so I've stopped calling myself a seeker, and instead I'm saying like I'm a founder. I like to look around, learn things, and then share it with people. And so rather than tell you about my career history, unless you ask me directly about that, I would say that I was born into this world curious. I was very self-aware from a young age. I had some crazy things happen very early on in my life. And I think for those of us who have had any kind of scary thing or trauma or anything early on in our lives, it's to prepare us for something greater, right? It's to prepare us for the longer road.
Absolutely.
And I think early on I got that in the weirdest way, maybe not fully understanding it, but I can tell you definitively, this is what I'll tell you about my story, that there was always two roads that I was traveling. There was me in the road of my physical body, like having this life experience as a 2-year-old, 10-year-old, 20-year-old. And then there was kind of a parallel me watching, observing it, taking it all in, making mental notes, thinking about it, talking to myself. I still feel that to this day.
Do you think
like
that that's your higher self? Like, what would you describe that as?
Now I would call it my higher self. It sounds so woo-woo to say because I don't know. It sounds so beautiful to say it's my higher self. But the higher self wasn't always smart or wise, or it just had an awareness. So I usually think of my higher self as this very wise future, being. But it was more of an awareness. It was like me going, look at you. Look at what you're going through. And what are we going to do about that? So that's probably the most important thing to know about me.
The Buddhists have some great teachings on that. And they talk about how you have the self that's living in the moment, and then you have this other self that is observing yourself living in the moment. And one of the things that they talk about is that through meditation and enlightenment is when those two selves become one. And you really start to become that observer, and you become less attached to the outcome and what's happening in that moment, because that's where you feel that pain, and that's where you feel that disappointment and that attachment to things. So it's a profound understanding that you have, because a lot of philosophers have talked about that and have observed that same thing. And it's interesting when we think about it, because we all have that second self, sometimes judging, sometimes observing, sometimes talking to you. But I love that it was kind of traveling your journey with you.
I think there are many layers. What I will say is it's very interesting. I've never really told this story before. I've been interviewed so many times, but something just came up, so I go with what comes. I've never told this story before, but about maybe 8 years ago, I went to see a Reiki master. I had a 3-day retreat. It was a physical cleanse, so it was a juicing retreat, but a lot of stuff comes up when you don't eat food.
Yes, oh my
and
gosh.
So there was a Reiki master there to hold space for us, and I was having a session with him, and I was like, and it got really heavy and deep, and at one point I said to him, my whole life I've had like this heaviness, this sadness, and I don't think it's mine. Like, I don't know what it's from. I mean, I know that I've had, trauma and stuff, but I don't think it's that. There's something else. And he said, go home and ask your mother what happened when she was 4 months pregnant with you, when you were 4 months in utero. So I did. And gosh, I've never told this story before, but when I finally asked my mother, she did the math, and she said that was the exact moment she knew that her marriage was over. And she stayed for a week in bed while she's pregnant with me and just cried until she could cry no more, just mourning the end of the marriage, knowing that it was over. And she thought she would lose me because she was just so despondent and so depressed. And so that was fascinating to me, and that made a lot of sense to me. There's a book by the brilliant Dr. Christiane Northrup. She's written probably the best Bibles on women's health and women's wisdom. And she talks about how we carry the legacy of our maternal ancestors in our cellular memory. And so for me, the trauma, when I say trauma, but the childhood separation of my parents and so many other things that happened, I think is just part of the greater purpose that's infused in my mission, in my life's purpose. It comes from many ancestors ago. I'm owning all of that.
When you learned of this with your mother, what did you do going forward?
then I got really curious about what the stories were of all the ancestors before me, because I knew that it wasn't just that moment. It was many, many moments. And so I started to look back in my lineage and understand the pain and regret and the sadness of all the women in my legacy. And it's funny because I've always done women's work, but it never dawned on me until recently why I was so drawn to it and why it's so important to me and why this whole too much woman thing has evolved. I think it's because I'm here to navigate a healing journey, not just for the women in this lifetime, but for the legacy of women from many lifetimes and all the women to come.
Right.
One of my favorite quotes, and I can't remember who said it, and it's going to piss me off because I like to give credit where credit is due, was that every woman that heals herself heals all the women before her and all the women after.
Yes.
And I think it just gives me chills saying that, because that is why we need to take care of ourselves, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly the reason why we decided to do this platform, is because in telling our story, we find that there is so much healing in expressing those words that are so painful, the ones that we're so ashamed to say, the ones that we've buried down so deep. And when we start expressing it, whether it's whispering it, writing it, telling a friend, recording it to yourself, that you find that parts of yourself start to heal. And like you said, in healing ourselves, we're healing generations of women before us and generations of women after us.
For our daughters, our daughters' daughters, our grandchildren. Yeah.
Yeah, and we are, as Marianne Williamson says, we are the mothers of this world, regardless of whether we've given birth or not. So I find that that's very true in the way that we heal ourselves. We're healing this earth, and we're healing, hopefully, one woman at a time, this generation.
Absolutely.
So when you were little, how did you deal with some of those difficulties? Did you have beliefs about yourself as a little girl that when you look back on them now, you think those are falls, that little Gina was hurting?
I've done a lot, because I'm writing my book, I've done a lot of reflection. I've gone to those places that I've tucked away for so long. It's very therapeutic to write a book, even if no one's going to read it. Just it's very therapeutic. And what I realized is there were a lot of patterns of me hiding and running away. And most people would describe me as an extrovert because I speak for a living. I was in acting and dancing for much of my life, but I'm actually quite introverted. And there were so many memories of me hiding. Sometimes it was just under the dining room table with my blankie, right? Sometimes I would run away and go to the backyard because that was like a big deal to go outside. And then when I was really adventurous, I ran away to the park across the street.
Right, yeah.
So there was a lot of running and hiding and looking for safety. Safety is a theme in my life, safety and security, just always wanting to feel safe and secure. I was afraid a lot. And so the topic of fear and courage is rampant throughout my work, because who doesn't have fear?
Right.
But I think when you have it as a small child, it forms you. It does. There's something that shifts in you when you're fearful as a child. And luckily for me, I was able to find ways to use that creatively. I was overconfident, or at least I channeled it that way, and that worked for a while. You know, I was the kid who protected every other kid. I would get into fights protecting the people who didn't have protection, those who were teased. I stepped into that role. I was fiercely protective of everyone, even though I was deathly afraid. It got me beat up. It's in my speed.
Yeah, I was going to ask
and
you
so
about that.
I became the mother, the protector of everyone, so that I could feel big enough and safe enough. But I myself was petrified. So it's amazing how it manifests.
Where do you think the fear came from then?
There was a lot of instability. My parents separating was huge. There were a lot of scary things that I couldn't understand what was going on as a child. Even now, I'm only starting to piece together what happened as a child, so I'm still navigating that. I think the mind does amazing things to protect us. So that's still something I'm working through, but the fear was rampant. I was always afraid. And I'm just, I don't know if the word is blessed or thankful that I always found ways to navigate the fear. Sometimes it was writing, sometimes it was dancing. Other times it was becoming very strong and lippy and mouthy and, expressing my too muchness, just being right in everyone's face. It didn't destroy me. It just made me, it's kind of like water, right? Like if you put a barricade and there's water and water needs to it finds a way around. And that was what my spirit was doing. It wouldn't stop. It would find a way around the fear. And I don't know where that came from, but that's always been my experience.
So did you have some beliefs about yourself then?
I don't know. Nothing's coming to me. What did I believe about myself then? I always felt confident. And maybe confident's not the right word. I just felt like I'm going to figure this out. I was tough. I was determined. I was scared but determined. I'm still that little girl, exactly. Yeah. Like everything going on in my life, I'm scared shitless, but there's a part of me that's like, I'm going to freaking figure it out.
Bring it.
I don't know why or where that comes from, but
there's some really interesting parallels between just what you've told us about your story and Nancy's story. I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to her story.
She's told me that.
Yeah,
she's told me
on our podcast, but there are some things that happened in her childhood that she started to put together as an adult. And one of the continuing themes through her life, too, was, this is not my life. I am bigger than this. I am greater than this, and I will figure this out. Through all of the crazy hell that she has been through in parts of her life, she always had that belief, this is not my real life. This is just something I'm going through right now. It sounds like that is a little bit similar to where you were. Like, yes, I'm feeling this fear and I'm feeling like I'm craving safety, but I'm going to do this and I'm going to figure this out regardless. No,
I guess I also feel like everything changes. Nothing is permanent. So joy isn't permanent. Sadness isn't permanent. Fear isn't everything changes. Everything flows. So whatever I'm feeling, I never take for granted that it's here forever and ever and ever. Amen. Even the good. Everything flows. And so the moment that I can get into that space and accept that, it's helpful for me.
Do you feel safe now?
In this moment, I do. But about an hour ago, maybe not. It fluctuates. I mean, safe is such a big word, right? Like there's a lot going on in my life that's very unpredictable and wild and exciting. But I think, fear and excitement are just opposite sides of the same coin. So I just have to decide what side I'm focusing on. Am I afraid or could I be curious or excited? So it's always a reframe. But I want to say yes to your question, but in my heart of hearts,
Is that what inspired the Too Much Woman speech?
Okay, the Too Much Woman speech was a complete fluke and accident, and I'll tell you why. I've been speaking for over 2 decades. So I have a corporate hat where I speak, but I also have a public hat where I speak to women, and I share a lot. I've been running workshops for over 2 decades, and I've examined almost every area of my life, and I've researched it, and then I feel compelled to share it. That's how my work usually flows. I do the work for myself, and then I share it with other people. Too Much Woman was an absolute fluke. It was never intended for the masses. It was never something I sat down and said, let me write a speech and see if it can go viral and see. Never. I had the opportunity to compete in a local public speaking contest. I haven't been in a public speaking contest since I was in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
I don't know what compelled me to say yes to it, but I saw it on Facebook. I got the last spot. And within 2 minutes, I had registered and was in this competition. And the theme was Body Beautiful. And I quickly, because I write speeches all day long, that's all I do. So I quickly wrote this really funny 5 minute max, really funny 5-minute comedy sketch about my body. I thought it was funny as hell. And I put it away. And then about 3 days before the event, I was sitting down working on a corporate talk, and I had what I describe as a hot flash. I'm like, I'm too young for this. But I had this hot flash and this knowing that I had to write something else. And I was like, girl, you have no time to be writing another speech. You've got serious work to do. This is just a little competition. You don't have time. And I said to myself, okay, self, I'm going to make a deal with you. if you can write this speech in less than an hour, you can have it. If not, you just move on and work with what you got. And so I don't know why I wrote the Too Much Woman speech. It just flew out of me. I do know that only now, like honestly this past month, looking back, I've been blogging for years, I see it. Like I've written Too Much Woman a million times. It just never connected the dots. But when I wrote that speech, I was like, I don't know these people. I don't know who's going to be at this competition. It's going to be like 30 people in a bar. Like it's, you know. So I'm just going to take a risk and talk about something I've never talked about before. They recorded it, and then they threw it up on Facebook. And then, like within 48 hours, my Facebook exploded. And I thought it went viral with like 25,000 views. I'm like, oh my God, it's 25,000. People are writing me from all over the world. This is so great. And then, of course, Goldcast, you know, swept it up and it went to 10 million. If you would have told me write a speech, the speech that's going to reach millions of people, I probably would never have written this speech in that way. It was divine, whatever. I don't know.
Why do you think it touches so many women?
It's been about 6 months since I've done that speech, and I'm still answering that question. Everyone who comes to my groups, and there's thousands of people now, I am asking them that question. It's so amazing because they say, you know, I'm a too much woman too, and I don't want to dim anymore. All the women that I've worked with have always said to me the opposite. What they've said to me is, I don't feel like I'm enough. I don't feel ready to do that thing. I don't feel confident. I don't feel smart enough. No one has ever used the words too much in my work in 20 years. It's so interesting to me now to have millions of women saying, yeah, that's me too. I don't know, but I think that's been my story. I can't believe it resonates with so many. So I'm still wrapping my head around it.
I think they're parallel because a lot of times if you don't feel enough of something, it could be you don't feel feminine enough or you don't feel good enough to sit at the board with all the men because you're too much, right? You don't feel smart enough to be in this corporate position because you're too feminine. Or so that not enoughness, I think, is very parallel with the too muchness. Because if you're too much of one thing, then often you're not enough of the other thing, or at least that's what people are telling you. And so when women hear that, they think, so you mean I can reconnect with who I really am, and that's okay? And I don't have to feel not enough in the fact that I am more than what people can handle. So I'm not quiet enough, or I'm not polite enough, or all of these things that people have been telling them to do forever. And especially as women, we're told to be quiet, to be pretty, to not make waves. And that's the way we're supposed to be because that's what makes us sexy and desirable. Again, back to Marianne Williamson. She's one of my favorite authors, but she talks about that, the reason why we do that, and some of it boils down to because we think daddy's going to leave, and all men represent daddy, and so there's all of that gender stuff that comes up when we hear I'm too much and I'm going to let my light shine. Part of us feels free. If she can do it, I can do it. And in telling your story, if she can do it, maybe I can do it. So tell us kind of about if there is a dark moment in your life, if there was a darkest moment in your life. Have you been at rock bottom?
Yeah, I'm just coming out of rock bottom.
Tell me about that. What did that look like?
Well, it's really sticky as a public figure because there are parts of me that I own, and I have decided, and I continue to decide how much of myself is public and how much is not. And it's, I used to feel really awkward about that because I used to think, well, if you're public, you're public. And I talk a lot about authenticity and transparency and telling the truth. But there are parts of me that aren't ready. Yeah. Having said that, the past 2 years have been my darkest night of the soul. And so it's so beautiful to me in a really fucked up way. I don't know if I can swear. I didn't ask permission before this, but it's so beautiful in the most fucked up way that this would be birthed from the bottom of the ashes.
Right.
It's almost like I was in this space where I was ready to tell this, not the whole story, but part of my story. So this is my darkest time in some ways. And the most beautiful time of my life. irony is not lost on me. It's actually perfect. It's perfect. Because whenever you cast light in a dark place, expect to find some things that you never thought, like, holy shit.
Right.
Be careful what you wish for. I'm in that space now, just coming out.
That is so impactful. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because there's so many women who feel like they're in a dark place and don't know if there's going to be a way out or an uphill. And that's what both Carrie and I have found, is that sometimes in those most difficult moments, in those hardest moments, that healing starts, and that's where you start to see the sun. That's where you start to see the light. When you can start to feel that pain and sit with it, that's when things start to get better.
About 2 years ago, August, I remember asking for this. I don't know how woo that's going to sound to your listeners, but I was in a space where I knew I was ready for the next, to up-level my life. And I asked for this. I said, use me, because I want to know that I served the purpose of my life. I was playing carefully and fearfully. Even though I teach this work for a living, there was a part of me that knew, and I asked for this. I got what I asked for. It's a beautiful thing, but what I do want your listeners to know, and I think this is really important, is that for much of my life, I was the expert. And I think what happens in a paradigm where there's an expert, because I no longer call myself an expert, is that we look at other people and we want to see that they've overcome. And a lot of people write to me now and say, you're so courageous, you're so brave, you're so confident, I want to be like you. And I think it's really important to share the stories that, life, the spiritual journey is cyclical, right? It's not a race. So it's not like I'm here and then I'm here. Oh, let me tell the story of how shitty it was over there and the 1, 2, 3 steps of how I got over it. Right. But the space that I hold is that I'm on a spiritual journey that's a circle, which means every time I go around, I'm going deeper and deeper into my lesson. Yes. And so it's important for me to share with people, and I did that today I do it every day on a post, that I'm not on the other end. And there's still hope in that. Like, I'm learning along with you, and there is no end that we come to that we go, oh, did it. It's progress, not perfection. And I think when we're constantly looking for like the dry land, we're like, oh my God, I made it, everything's good. That's where we get into trouble, because life is not ever going to be that steady. And if it is, we're probably living too lightly. We're tiptoeing, right? We're not taking. So it's okay to be in a space that feels scary and dark. It's a circle, right? You're going to just spiral and continue to move through it. So I'm not ashamed of sharing that anymore. It was something that I hid. I was hiding under the cloak of perfection. I was like the, Oz behind the curtain for a long time. And I'm no longer that. I struggle every day. That's why I teach what I have to learn. It holds me accountable.
It feels very freeing to be able to take away that cloak of perfection. And then also to realize that life really is all about duality. We're not supposed to just feel good and just have amazing moments. We came here for contrast. We want to experience the dark just as much as we want to experience the light. And that's what brings us growth. That's how we're able to move in that spiral that you were just talking about. We need to experience both sides, the negative, the positive, to be able to fully embrace this life and be able to get what we want out of it, which is experience and growth. So it's just, we can get in that place where we can have appreciation for that darkness and for that contrast. Man, we've got it made. Not to just constantly chase that happiness and that peace, but also to appreciate the pain, the sadness, the anger, all of what we deem as negative emotions. It's contrast, and we love that. That's what we came here for. Our body wants to experience it.
Like Abraham Hicks says, contrast is a choice. That in that moment, that's when you make the choice. Instead of looking at it as something bad that's happening to me, look at it as, okay, now I get to choose. How am I going to react? What thoughts am I going to have around this? Because it's allowing me the opportunity to choose what I want. So when you wrote the Body Beautiful speech, what did you write that first time? What did you write about being body beautiful and your body and how you feel about that?
The first draft?
Yeah.
Wasn't it
Oh,
comedy?
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was freaking hilarious, and it's funny because recently I'm like, it would be so funny if I could find that and I can actually like do it. And
You don't have it?
You know what? It's on my laptop. I have an archaic laptop. I have to bring it somewhere and see if they can find it because it would be a great story if I could just deliver that. It was just funny. I was poking fun at my relationship with my body. You know, I'm half Greek, half Italian. I've had body issues from day one. I look back, I was like gorgeous. What was I ever? But I saw distortion in the mirror. You know, from a very young age. I remember at 6 years old, it was my birthday. My mother said, you know, it's your birthday. What do you want for dinner? And my favorite food in the world was salad. It still is. I know I'm a freak, but I love salad. Now, at the time, I loved it drizzled with, like, French dressing. Like, I would, like, it's probably really crappy, but that's what I wanted. And I remember everybody laughing at me, and my uncle was there, who's quite full.
Robust.
And he said, I was 6 years old. I remember this. I remember where I was sitting. I remember what he was wearing. He said, she better love salad her whole life, or she's going to look like us. Those moments are like frozen in time. I was ordained with, you know, having food-related issues my whole life. So that's really what my talk was about. It was funny as fuck. Like, it was funny. But it was just poking fun at my relationship with food and how I've been obsessed with it and how I'm so over that.
Talk about that journey, just your relationship with food, your feelings about your body.
And where you are now.
I was a dancer for most of my life. Okay, so here's the irony is I was a hardcore dancer. I was as fit as, I was pure muscle. You know, I was obsessed with being fit. It was part of my life. I ate healthily. I have a very health conscious family. Then I got married and had kids and stopped dancing as much and then started to gain some weight and I went bonkers. So I tried everything. I did everything. I was running every morning, you know, did the boot camps, did all the stuff that we all do to lose the weight. And it got to a point where my body wouldn't lose the weight anymore. You know, it just like I would go to naturopaths with my food diary and they'd be like, girl, you're lying. There's no way that you're eating. Like, you're not even eating enough calories. There's no way you're eating this and not losing weight, honey. Like, and I would cry because I was starving myself and my body would not lose weight. The calories in, calories out math didn't freaking work. And I was working out. So I was like, what is this? Like, everybody thought I was lying. And I went on a week's retreat to the Omega Institute. This was on my 40th birthday. This is what I wanted to do. And I sat with a man named John Gabriel. He's phenomenal. And I learned, and this is where it's, you know, the big aha moment, was that my body was holding on to the fat as a means of protection.
Yes.
It wanted to be fat. So I could eat nothing. I mean, when I say I would eat nothing, like, there were times, it makes me want to cry because food is love. Food is nourishment. I would starve myself. I would go to boot camp and I'd be puking after boot camp, working so hard saying, I'm going to do, like, I'm so determined. And I wouldn't lose the weight. I'd lose like a pound or two. Like, it defies the odds. I'm starving myself. It doesn't make any sense. But my body wanted to be fat.
Yeah.
And it was scared and it was holding on to the weight for a reason.
Yes.
And so now I look at everyone talking about eat this, eat that, all these diets, and I'm totally disconnected. For me, it means nothing because until my body feels safe, nothing will change in this physicality. So I'm not talking about the masses, but for me, all I really need to do is take care of my emotional
Oh my
state.
God, girl, I am like dying. This is
Carrie
so
teaches
amazing.
every day.
It is what I teach to my clients, but I am also in a program right now, and it's to help women with eating disorders, food addiction, exercise addiction, body dysmorphia, like all of that. And what it boils down to is that it's all about our emotions and when we manifest fat on our body, it is either emotions that you're holding on to that are just energetically manifesting through actual weight, or it's something that you're trying to protect, which, I mean, the two go hand in hand, but it's not a matter of food or lack of movement. Now, that might be, you might be sabotaging yourself by doing those things, but it 100% is all about the emotions. It's not about the physical efforts that you're doing. And if you really truly are in a good space space emotionally and you're releasing emotions and letting them move through you on a regular basis, you will naturally want to take care of your body. So that's just an after effect of all the work that you do internally. But it's inside, it's not the outside.
Yeah. Can't start with the outside. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
I want to say it was Dr. Mercola. There's one of my favorite quotes is, you're better off, let me get this right, you're better off eating ice cream sundae with joy than drinking ugly juice with hatred and
Oh my
so
God.
what I was doing for so many years was eating, like I'd have like food for my family. They'd be eating like pasta or like whatever, like all my favorite stuff. And I would sit there, like this was for years, and I would sit there with like my broccoli and kale. Now I happen to love veggies, so I'm a freak, but I was resentful that I couldn't also have the pasta. So that resentment, I believe, not only makes us ill, but was counterintuitive with my weight.
Yeah, we've both been there.
This is something that I did an online program as well, and this was something that I would teach my clients, that our food, even if it's dead, as far as like meat or like vegetables, you cook it, it still has energy. We are all energy. So it still is infused with some sort of energy. And when we sit in front of it, we have if we could realize the power that we have of the emotions and the intentions that we set out towards anything. But when we sit with and we basically infuse that food with resentment, that's what we're ingesting. So I say the same thing. If you're going to eat a slice of pizza, like love that fucking slice of pizza. Yes. Like give it love, give it appreciation. Like, I mean, just infuse it with what you're wanting to receive. And same exact thing. You can sit in front of a salad and have so much anger and resentment, and you're infusing that love with that, you're going to receive more of that. It's just, it's amazing. We have so much power.
There's been so many studies done on what your intentions and your words do to change the molecular structure of something.
Dr. Masaru Emoto was, I met him, came to Toronto. He died the year after I met him.
You met him?
My kids, he's from of Toronto. And he had, he did many experiments on this. And I did the experiment with my kids. I think they were like 6 and 8, the water and rice experiment.
Yeah.
Where you get jars. I did it all on Facebook. It was great. You get 3 jars, and one of the jars, you fill them all with rice and water. And one of the jars, every single day, you're like, I hate you, I hate you. And the second jar, you're like, oh, I love you, have a great day. And the third jar, you completely ignore. And the repercussions of that, because of, energetically, I was trying to teach my kids. And it's just so freaking powerful. And so to circle back now, anything to do with my weight, or like, I do what feels good. Now, my body physically is not where I want it to be, but what I'm honoring is the space that I'm in right now in my life, in every area of my life. It's okay. It's okay, because right now what I just need to do is hold space for my body and love it as much as I can and not be preoccupied with anything else.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful place
and I
to be.
feel the craziest thing is I'm 43. I've never been heavier, number one, but I've never felt more delicious, luscious, sensual, on fire, turned on ever in my life. So go figure that out.
Right.
That's amazing. I love it.
It's like I magnetize not just attention, but opportunity, people, ideas to me.
That's just what women are here to do.
Just being turned on has that impact. So
yes.
More than what I wear, more than anything else.
No, it's your energy. It has nothing to do with what you wear or how your dress is or how much makeup or lack of makeup you have on. It's all about the energy that you exude, and you clearly are so much more comfortable with who you are. People can feel that, and they're attracted to that. Doesn't matter. I've seen somebody a certain size and somebody else the exact same size, but yet one looks so much more attractive and appealing, and I'm so much more drawn to that person. And it's not because of their size. It's because of the energy that they give off. So much more confidence and sexiness, and it doesn't even matter what they're wearing as well.
Because you're connected to the great pussy in the sky.
The big shift for me was Mama Gina. Regina taught me shower. And I went to New York City right at the beginning of my dark night. And read Pussy. Then I went to New York City, had that experience with her. And that really was, it's funny because I was in the dark night of the soul. Like I was in the depths of it, but also having the most amazing insights of my life. So that's why anybody who's listening who's going through a really rough time, there's gold to be found down there. Sometimes you have to go that deep to get the gold. And so don't despair.
Right.
Don't despair. Just be open and look for it. I think the most important thing, sometimes we're in that deep, dark place and we have our eyes closed because we don't want to see. Just be open and say, where is it? Where are you?
Yeah.
I know you're here somewhere. I'm open to receiving it. And I think if anybody's listening to this, and you just take that away, it's worth it. It's worth it. Just be open wherever you are and look for it. Ask for it. Every morning say, where are you? I know you're coming today. Where's the beautiful gold, insight, opportunity? Come to me, baby. Come to me.
Yeah. As I reflect back on my darkest times, which there's quite a few of them, and where I am right now, I have so much reverence and respect for those times. Yeah. At that time, no, I didn't. There was so much resentment and anger and sadness and depression and anxiety and just so many negative emotions during that time. But as I look back now, I have so much respect for such growth that I experienced during that time. I value those times. They are now my lessons and my golden nuggets that I'm able to teach and give to other people that I would not be able to. I would not have the words or the expression to be able to give to others without having experienced them. I just would not be able to touch people at the level that I can without having experienced them.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful. I have so much love for all of those experiences.
I think too, what's happened for me just on that note is that now what I've noticed is that when those times come, and they do, I can more quickly shift into that space of appreciation. I see it coming, and I still allow those feelings to come. It's not like I feel really sad or I feel really worried and I go, oh, no, I'm going to feel really good and appreciative, and I'm going to... Nope. No. I give myself space to be in that. I'm a bath girl, so I take a bath. I let the crying, the snot run. I feel I've come to a place where I realize how critical it is to feel it. And then I'm able to step outside myself. That's where that other self comes and kind of look at it and say, okay, are you good? Have you moved that through? Okay, can we move into this next? Oh, not yet. You need another couple hours of that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, girl. You keep going.
I got you.
But I'm able to shift out.
Yes.
And so whereas previously I'd be in that space a long time, I'm noticing it's shorter. It still doesn't mean I don't have them, and I'm grateful that I do. And it doesn't mean I switch out of them and I become positive. No.
Right.
But I understand how to honor it, hold space for it, and then to move into the new awareness. Right. And so that's what I try to teach people.
Once again, like respecting the duality and just appreciating it. And the more that you experience it, you have tools in your tool belt of like knowing how to work through it, process it, experience it, appreciate it, respect it, and move through it. Just because we've been able to get through some experiences doesn't mean that we're exempt from any more. That's what life is about, is to experience all of that. So, but we just become more efficient in being able to move through them quicker, the more that you are willing to just appreciate it.
One of the big issues with the personal growth movement is that, it's the idea that we get over stuff, or we fix stuff, or we heal the stuff. And I think that's really not served us, because then we think if we're not feeling good, something's wrong.
Right.
Mm-hmm. If we're not feeling good, we better do something. Read a book. Do an affirmation. Go and fix this shit. It doesn't feel good, and it's really done a disservice to a lot of people who are judging their lives based on negative emotions, rather than saying, "This is it, baby. Feel it. This is it. This is the journey.
Gotta feel it. Damn it." Stupid onion. Like, onion of like
peeling. Yeah.
No, onion never stop.
All the schooling that I'm going through and all the things that I'm learning, I just have so much more respect. We wouldn't be able to understand or even know what happiness and joy was if we didn't feel sadness and pain and heartache and anger.
I think what's so interesting too is that, we can get really like high up in our heads about this, but when it comes to the nitty-gritty of life, like I'm a mother, I have 2 children, 12 and 14, and it sounds really good for me, But try to watch your child struggle.
Yeah.
Try to watch your child go through a difficult time. Try not to go in and try to save them. I mean, we've created a generation of kids who don't know how to save themselves because we're just like swooping in, trying to fix trying to cradle them. Everybody gets a trophy.
Right.
Everybody wins. Like, don't worry, I'll drive you to school and bring your lunch if you forgot it, or help you with your homework. So I think what I'm learning now is to expand this knowing beyond just what sounds good in my head, and look at ways to make it practical. So with my kids, how can I hold space for my daughter when she's really upset without feeling like I have to fix it? What tools can I give to her to be in that space of feeling her feelings without having to just be solution oriented? Just allow her to feel and let her know that that's okay to feel. Teaching her how to rage appropriately. Like 12 years old, she's feeling a lot of things. So when she's calm, we've made a list. She actually has it tacked to the back of her closet door. All the ways that she can rage or feel the feeling when she's feeling. Because when you're in that moment, you can't think, right? So when you're feeling really crappy, what could you do? I could throw my pillows around. I can write in a journal. I could punch my, so it's
Stuffed animals, yeah.
Jump on the trampoline. So now it becomes less just, esoteric thinking, like all this beautiful, which I love philosophy. We can sit here and gab forever. But at the end of the day, what I care about with the people who follow me and the people in my tribes are what happens Monday morning. You have a meltdown. Your child has a meltdown. You go to work. You get in, I really care about how do we make this heady stuff real and pragmatic.
Yes.
So that is the focus now of my work, because it sounds really nice to talk about, but at the end of the day, shit gets real.
Yeah.
And how are we going to navigate those waters?
How do you integrate it? How do you apply it? Yeah.
What I never learned until now, that I'm so honored to hold space for my daughter to learn, is the other day she called me from dance class. She's 12 years old. And she said, "Mom, you got to come get me." It's like, "I'm there. What's up?" So I brought her home. She's like, "I can't stop crying. I don't know why." I said, "Well, what happened?" We went through all she goes, "I don't know. I'm just sad. I just want to cry."
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, how? And I said to her, I feel like that all the time when I just don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't know why. I mean, I'm sure there are reasons, or there could be reasons, but it's okay to just not know. And she's like, "Really?" And I just held her, cried for like 20 minutes, and I rocked her like she was a baby. And it was so freeing to know, oh my God, I'm allowed to just feel this without having to. And so how many of us as grown women and men, I don't know who listens to your podcast, feel like as soon as there's a bad feeling, it's like, shit, oh now, and give ourselves permission to just sit and be with that, or do that, or have that, and be okay with that, and not judge ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I just feel like freaking crying. Cheers.
And how important it is also, I love that you put that she didn't know, and that it really doesn't fucking matter. It does not matter. We do not have to have a story to why we are feeling a certain emotion. And we don't have to dig in and investigate to like identify with why we're feeling sadness. It just let it flow. That's all that matters, is that we realize that it's there, and we let it flow through us, and give it the attention it needs. That's it.
My 15-year-old daughter is very much like that. And sometimes she'll start to cry, and I'll say, like, "Are you okay? What's going on?" She's like, "I just haven't cried today." I'm like, "Okay, that's cool. Go ahead. I mean, cry as many times as you want. If you haven't cried yet today, cry right now." It's totally cool.
I love crying. It's so amazing.
It happens daily. It helps her. She gets it out. Maybe it happens again. It's totally fine. I give her a hug. Can I do anything for you? No? Okay. And then, we just allow that to happen. My other daughter, on the other hand, I've learned to allow her to have that quiet space where she doesn't want to talk to people. We use I don't know if you've read the book, it's called Furiously Happy, but the author uses a metaphor of spoons. And so I ask her, "Do you have enough spoons for a hug this morning?" And she'll say no. I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
"Do you have enough spoons for me to hang out and talk to you right now?" "Yeah." "Okay, awesome. Let's do it." So it is, we're learning about ourselves with each of our children. We're learning about them. We're learning about the universe. We're learning about how to hold space for them as they come along and teach us. It's incredible. And it's so humbling. So talk about motherhood for a second in your life.
Oh my God. So I was like one of those super anal type A people who, before I was even pregnant, before I was married, because I was in the world of personal development, I was like, oh, I better learn some shit. Because I recognized the impact that my childhood had on me. And I thought, oh my God, if I want to be a mother, I better get my shit together, and I better get it right. So I was listening to audio cassettes before there were even CDs. I'm dating myself here, but I was like, how to raise super confident children. And I would listen to them before I was even married or pregnant. Like, what a whack job, right?
No,
so by the time I had my kids,
I
was
not.
weird.
I totally
So before I even conceived, I cleansed my body. I started to meditate, talking to the future baby. Like I was a whack.
Wow.
Reading parenting jobs, because I was like, I knew this was like the big kahuna, right? Like I knew. But the most curious thing happened a couple of years ago, and I was like going to be the best mom, or all organic, and I made it myself, and I breastfed till they were like 10 years old.
So
the kids at home because I wanted them to have Beethoven when they came to the earth.
Yes.
Like, so I was a little bit weird. Okay. And then I read Dr. Shefali Saburi's book, Conscious Parent, and I went, holy shit, I'm not here to raise them. They're here to raise me. Oh my God. Okay. So I can let go of all of this pressure. Tells me I have to figure it all out because they're the teacher. And all I have to do is sit in my awareness of letting them. I mean, it was a life-changing paradigm shift for me. Not only the book, I started teaching courses just on the book because I was everybody had to know. And so what's shifted for me, and it really was a profound shift. It took the weight of, again, perfection, right, off of me, knowing that they are souls with their own life journey.
Absolutely.
Whether it's difficult, easy, exciting, hard, that's their path, and I'm here to hold that space for them. I'm not here to make it perfect. I'm not here to make sure nothing happens to them. I'm not here to, my only job is to hold that space for them and to be, and more profoundly, be the model of possibility. So if I just focus on me and I could be the model of possibility, and not only possibility, but they see me cry, they see me struggle, they see all the things, they see how I pull myself together. That's my job. Like, holy shit, what a relief.
Oh my gosh. I had that was exactly me. Like everything you said, that was absolutely me. Super neurotic, wanted to make sure everybody was okay and perfect. My whole life was about these kids. I would have designated, I can't go anywhere and do anything because we need to have like eye contact time. This whole like how to teach your kids to read with flashcards when they're 2 and friggin' everything. I had my babies at home, nurse them till they were 1,000,000 years old. I'm like, when they go to college, they'll stop nursing. I'm sure they'll be fine. Every book you could possibly think of, I read, I digested, I internalized, and I lived that shit. And then when I got divorced, my oldest was 2 and I was pregnant. I had this infant and this 2-year-old, and they're having visits with their dad, and it was breaking me because my identity was being their mom. A good friend said to me and shared an experience with me where he was praying, talking to his version of God, and that he felt this knowing that these are not your children. These are God's children. This is the universe's children. They have their own path. These are not your children. And when he shared that with me, it took some of that responsibility away and I could breathe again. And as I started leaning into that, knowing, just like you said, this is their journey, and I'm here to hold space for them, and whatever that means for them, I'm here to facilitate that. Then I could live my life, and I could know that I'm here for whatever you need for me to help you and hold space for you, but I can't fix that. I can't navigate your journey for you. You came here for a reason. You chose me for a reason. I chose you for a reason. We're all just figuring our own shit out.
The biggest illusion we have in this life is that we have control. We have absolutely zero control of anything except for our emotions. That is it. The only thing we have control over is our emotions and our reaction to things. So when we realize that, as far as mothers go, it's like we have as much as we want to control what happens to how our children are, will never happen. So when we can really wrap our brains around that, we have absolutely zero control. it really takes that burden, that weight off of our shoulders of however our children turn out is our responsibility. It's not. Like exactly what you said. We can be an example. We can nurture, we can love, but like it's their journey. It's not ours. They chose a certain life. They chose certain experiences to go through, and we are just here to kind of be that safe space, that that place to be able to teach and nurture and love. But that's it.
It's really interesting teaching parenting courses. I've hung those shoes up because that's some deep, deep shit. Because parenting is really about raising mini-me's for most of us, right? And so our ego gets so attached to getting it right, and we do it from love. I mean, we're not jerks, right? We do it because we think, I want them to have better. I brought you into this world. I want to do what I can to make sure you have better than me, or you don't have the experiences I have. So I don't want to make parents feel really shitty. But I think we get so attached to, we don't know where we begin and where our children end. And so that's been the hugest learning for me, is where do I end and where do they begin? They are not an extension of me. They're not mini-me's. I used to call my daughter my mini-me. Yeah. And even my son, who looks exactly like me. And oh my gosh, how damaging is that for the child, right? You are your own person. So it's been a great unlearning for me. I think most of my journey has been about unlearning. It's not even so much the learning. That's why the seeking I don't like that name anymore, because it's mostly about the unlearning, the undoing. And so even the undoing of considering myself too much, it's just the undoing of all the lies that I bought into. And so it's an unburdening, and I think that's why it's so beautiful. I think most of the women that are attracted to me are actually much older than me. They're in their 50s, 40s or 50s, and it's so interesting to see, and even 60s, because that's the beautiful place where we blossom, where we kind of go, oh my God, this is my life. This is my life. Yeah. I get to have joy, and I get to have meaning, and and there's that realization that we're not responsible for anyone else. And that's really exciting to see and bear witness to. So I feel very blessed.
Have you ever played Would You Rather?
No.
What?
You can't see us very
Would you rather?
Would you rather? It's a game.
Is it like Would You Rather this or that?
Yes.
Is that what it is? Oh, okay. I don't think I've played, but I've heard of it. Okay.
You've never played? Okay, we're going to play.
Questions?
Probably not.
Oops. Okay, I've got one.
Okay.
Would you rather?
I feel like I'm in the hot seat.
You are in the hot seat.
I'm starting to get a little sweaty.
This isn't crazy. But okay. Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck? Lots of little horses or one big fucking duck?
I think one big fucking duck. Like just bring it. Bring it. Over with. Because I could
one-on-one.
I could do some belly dancing or hypnosis, but I don't know about 100. But I can get one to
Do ducks like belly dancing?
I could do it.
Okay. Would you rather have to announce to everyone around you whenever you have to fart, or pee your pants daily?
Oh my God. Is it a choice?
Yeah. Either one. That's all. You only have to do.
We all get to a certain age where we pee our pants daily.
True. So I'm already there.
Because that means I'm laughing, right?
Exactly. So or I sneeze.
Yeah.
Or I jumped on the trampoline. Mom, do you want to jump on the tramp? Just 1 second. I gotta get a pad. You get my Depends.
Gotta laugh.
Okay, I've got one.
Okay.
Would you rather have to go to the bathroom in a giant litter box in your house or anywhere you want, but only outside?
Okay, so you guys know I live in Toronto, Canada, right?
Right.
So again, it's cold here.
You'll do the litter box.
I want my ass to get frozen to it gets cold here. So gosh, the litter box sounds so nasty, but
I know.
It's cold here, so I'm gonna have to go with the litter box.
You could just scoop it out when you're done.
Okay, let's see. This is a strange one. Let's see. Would you rather go about your normal day naked or fall asleep for a year?
Naked.
They both sound amazing.
Can I do both?
Oh, God, yeah. Can I like sleep naked for a year? That would be right?
Okay, would you rather have a freakishly huge smile or a freakishly small nose?
Oh my gosh.
Little tiny button nose or a humongous fucking mouth? Which one?
I think I already have a big mouth, so it would just go with my personality. So why fight it?
Why
Just
not?
flow.
Would you rather wear a push-up bra all day long every day or stiletto heels all day long every day?
Oh my God. Well, I don't know if you've seen my boobs. If I wore a push-up bra, like we'd all be in trouble. Like,
You wouldn't be able to breathe.
my God. Like no push-ups are allowed close to my boobs.
So you'd rather wear stilettos all day? Ouch.
Actually, I wouldn't rather wear stilettos, but push-up bra. Okay, I'll say push-up bra, but
Yeah.
stilettos? Oh, but I'm
Yeah.
so over those. I'm
Yeah.
so over those.
Yeah,
That
me
sounds
too.
so painful.
When
Like
I had my kids. at
my
30,
feet are
now-
like, please don't do that to me.
I
Don't
know.
do
What?
that.
Why? Why do we do
know.
that?
I don't know why. Would you rather meet the Red Hot Chili Peppers or Justin Timberlake?
Oh gosh. You know what? I'd actually like to meet Justin Timberlake, and I'll tell you why. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. No, either of them wouldn't really matter. Here's what I'm really interested in. All of this viral stuff has me so curious, like how people who are really famous handle it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like sit down with one of them who'd be really honest with me and tell me like, how the frick do you handle this?
Yeah.
It's insane because suddenly everybody loves you. Like everybody loves you. Like people I don't even know absolutely love me. They don't even know me, but
Right.
they tell me they love me.
Yeah.
The people that I really think love me, they're freaking gone.
Right.
So like, how do you?
Weird.
I would talk to either of
Yeah.
them because it's a real mind fuck. Yeah.
Okay, I've got the last one, and it's really, really good. Okay, are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready. You're not going to show me. You're like,
Don't even. Okay, ready?
Get on.
Okay. Would you rather lick an Would you rather lick an old man's stinky armpit or chew on a rotten yellow toenail?
oh my God, that's awful. Oh my God. I can't take it.
Lick an old man's stinky armpit or chew on a rotten yellow toenail?
Ew.
Your interview? This?
A rotten.
It's just really deep.
It's some really, really bad visuals.
Oh, that's really gross.
You can't even take a drink of your drink.
There's toenails in there. Don't drink it.
That's really gross.
Gina's throwing up. Hold on. Stay tuned.
I have no words. You guys, these are really deep.
I know.
No.
Armpit, toenails. Armpit,
I'm gonna have
toenails.
to sit with that.
Okay, you're
Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
If you were
I
here,
would pick the armpit. I
would
mean,
too.
toenails
Just
are going to
like
take a
the
while.
tip of your tongue.
That's going to take a while.
But the smell, like I'm a real sensitive.
yeah.
So am I. Can't stand stinky breath. Can't do it. Nope. Will
Are
not be
they
your friend.
your own yellow toenails?
It just said on a rotten yellow toenail. I hope you do not have rotten yellow
I'm
toenails.
just trying to make you feel better. Just trying to soften it.
What's underneath that fingernail polish? Toenail polish.
Okay. If you were here, we would have had you do. Oh my gosh! When you come, we are totally going to do some challenges, like Chubby Bunnies or the Banana Challenge.
Yes. Well, we'll think of some stuff.
Okay.
Which, speaking of, let's talk about that. Gina is coming
Yes, Gina's
to
coming.
Arizona.
We're gonna chill
Arizona.
the whole day.
I can't even. It's gonna be crazy. Yeah, we better that whole day. We're gonna have so much fun. We're gonna do some crazy shit.
Oh yeah,
All day long.
yeah.
Okay.
We have some awesome things planned for some ideas.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about karaoke, but shit's gonna get real.
That's my middle name.
Karaoke? Okay.
Is this a challenge?
How about roller skating?
I can roller
How
skate
about
backwards.
karaoke
I'll
while
beat
roller
you.
skating?
Ooh,
Oh my gosh.
let's
I am
do
so
it.
ready. Ready. I've got an outfit already picked out.
Yes.
Yes.
We should
Karaoke
get
roller skating. Gosh.
we should get roller derby outfits.
I have the old school skates. Do you guys have the old school? The white, I have white with the like the actual like 4 rollers, like not rollerblades.
Wow, you're skilled.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Well,
have
Okay,
you
we're
need to get
doing
your roller
roller derby though.
skates
We're
and
gonna
bring
get
'em.
outfits.
dress like retro.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
should
yeah.
dress retro.
And our socks and
And
stuff.
side ponytails.
Like thigh high. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
Okay. We love you so much. Thank you so much for taking time. I know your babies are asleep. You should be asleep
And
too.
you should be asleep, yes. Gina, you
This
are
was-
amazing.
We love you.
Thank you so much for spending this
love
time with
you
us.
too. I love you too. It was wonderful. It was beautiful. And thank you for having me in this space. I can't
Mwah.
wait. Arizona, baby.
I
Yes.
know. Arizona baby. What up?
Here comes the too much woman.
Trouble. Oh, boy. Thank you, guys.
Love
you.
Love you.
Okay.
Click on the link in the podcast description to join us on January 18th for a night of intimate conversation and cocktails with Gina. It's the launch of her world tour. We would love to see you there. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Please give us a like and a comment. Tell us what you think about our podcast. We love you guys.